We live in a world with so many people trying to pitch, so many people trying to sell all over the internet marketing world, and where people would have bought anything back in the day. Now, a lot of people are more skeptical. And so people are not looking to be sold. They're looking to feel safe, right? They're not looking to be sold. They're looking to feel safe. And if you can help someone feel safe, create the trust within that conversation to really support them and help them see where their blind spots are, where they're not getting the results they want, and help them recognize that there's a solution available for them to get that life they want, then that's really what conscious sales is.
One of the bigger issues that keeps us from doing more by doing less is getting our sales techniques or process just right. And it's not just me, it's a lot of us. That's why I brought on David Pare. This guy, conscious sales, has it down to not just a science, but making it feel good. I know the term authentic often gets overused, but the way he approaches it is how we all should. Take a listen. Do more by doing less. With me, Charles Alexander, for small business owners, startups, and busy folks. So as you just had mentioned, you're coming at us from the great state of Canada. And that's what we would say in Tennessee.
Well, right now, hanging out in Lima, Peru, actually. We just traveled here this week. We escaped the dark winters of Canada for the next month and a half.
Good for you, dude. Yeah. Well, look, tell me, I've been through some of your training, listened to you, loved it. That's why I asked you to be on here. What is conscious sales?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. It's the question we always get. But for us, I've been in the game of sales and entrepreneurship for over a decade now. My business partner has as well. We've sold so many things, right? We've sold services, we've sold coaching, we've sold agency packages, we've sold, he's sold window cleaning and painting, and I've sold lawn mowing and everything you could possibly imagine we've sold. And through that process, what I realized that I loved most about the sales process was connecting to real humans and actually having a conversation about what they want and helping them see if I could help them get it. And I started doing that naturally just because I care about people. I genuinely want to help people. And so I didn't realize I was doing anything differently than a lot of people, but I started just genuinely focusing on people more than I focused on my own money. And what started to happen is I started making more money than other people who were selling. And it was a weird thing where I was like, what am I doing differently? Like, I couldn't figure it out at first. I ended up taking a break from my own business to actually join one of my mentors' sales team and start running his team. And at first I was running his sales for a little bit and took a bunch of calls, and I was enrolling at like 60, 70%. And I was just having genuine conversations, really caring about people, asking powerful questions, really looking to guide them to getting the life that they want, because I've been a coach for years, and that's what I'm good at. And so I kind of started to apply the same principles in sales. And what I realized is people didn't feel like I was selling them. They felt like I genuinely wanted to help them. They knew I was there to lead them to get to what they want. And because they felt safe, they invested with me. And that's a big thing that we focus on in conscious sales is the modern buyer is more sales averse than ever before. Right? We live in a world with so many people trying to pitch, so many people trying to sell all over the internet marketing world, and where people would have bought anything back in the day. Now, a lot of people are more skeptical. And so people are not looking to be sold. They're looking to feel safe, right? They're not looking to be sold. They're looking to feel safe. And if you can help someone feel safe, create the trust within that conversation to really support them and help them see where their blind spots are, where they're not getting the results they want, and help them recognize that there's a solution available for them to get that life they want, then that's really what conscious sales is. It's focusing on the customer. It's focusing on service. It's asking the right questions to lead, to guide them. And it's letting go of your own, desires to get the sale above all else, recognizing that by service, the sale is a byproduct of that and not the other way around.
You said safe a couple of times, and I've never thought about using that word when you get into sales, but it makes so much sense. You've sold a wide variety of different things all the way up to this point in my life, now including coaching services or explainer videos. Or I can even think back growing up, my parents had a furniture store. And if you want to learn a little trial by fire, go out there and do retail sales as a 16 or 17-year-old punk kid. And you could tell one of the first things out of the gate is that when I would approach somebody as they're walking in, and by the way, they love that. This is me shaking my head for listeners. When they see that sales guy, with sales breath breathing down on them, and the first words out of their mouth is always, "I'm just looking," or just their guard was always up. So you talking about making them feel safe. What does that mean? How do I do it?
Yeah. Well, to give you some context, I'll kind of share the opposite of that first. And this is a story that I always think back to that made me feel really awkward about traditional sales. And I was working in this company, Weed Man, back in the day, selling lawn care services. And before I got into the coaching industry, I was a 17-year-old kid and I was top of the leaderboard. And, they're like, because I was top and I was only my first month in top of the leaderboard, they're like, we're going to give you some challenging prospects that we want to see if you can sell. And so they're like, here's this old lady. She's, 70 or so years old. And we screwed her over. Like, we promised her a bunch of stuff and we completely did not deliver. And it is our fault, but we want her to buy again. We want her to buy from us. And she's blacklisted our number. She never wants to talk to us again. She
has blocked you on the pre-social media site.
Yep. You got it. And so I said, sure, why not? And, I spent the next 45 minutes having a conversation with her and making every promise you could think of, pushing her to basically say that we can, deliver what we say we're going to and actually sell her into doing this. And by the end of the call, I ended up enrolling her on a really big package. I think it was $5,000 or $10,000 in lawn care services by the end of that call. And everyone was cheering and celebrating. And they were like, wow, you turned it around. And I was super excited. And then when I look back to that now, I wonder, did that woman actually need what I had? Did that woman actually get the result that she wanted? I don't know. In fact, she could have gotten fully scammed again and didn't get any of the results, and I wouldn't even know about it. I just focused on the sale.
Right, your sales, not delivery.
Yeah. So in that moment, did I make her feel safe? Maybe, but unconsciously, I felt like I manipulated her into making a buying decision. Mm-hmm. Right. And so the opposite of safety is manipulation. It's guiding someone to do something that you want them to do, even if it's not in their best interest. And so for me, what safety is creating a sales a container where someone feels like they can actually open up to you, where someone feels that they can actually be transparent and honest and real about their scenario. Because, most of the time, if you get into a sales conversation, people have their guards up. They have sales resistance. They have their guards up. They don't want to let you know what's actually happening because they feel unconsciously or consciously that you'll use it against them. And so creating safety is being able to help someone put their guard down, recognizing that you're here to help them make a decision, whether it's to move forward or not, whether it's to work with you or not. And that's key, right? Is being detached enough to have a conversation and recognize that this person very well might not be a good fit for your program or your service. And that's okay. Let them have a good day, point them in the right direction, provide them some value anyway. And so that's really the art of creating safety, is recognizing that it's about them, it's about guiding them, and it's about letting their guard down. And so, we train our teams to use language that is actually slightly non-committal. And so what I mean by that is language like, hey, we might be a good fit for you, keyword might, right? We might not though, right? We may or we may not be a good fit for you. And that bring someone's guards down and helps them feel a little bit safer, because they'll feel like, okay, this isn't about you just trying to sell me. It might be a good fit, it might not. This person is unattached to the outcome. If you're unattached to the outcome, they'll feel like they can actually open up to you because you don't have an agenda. And no one wants to have a conversation with someone with an agenda.
Is there other language that you use in addition to might?
Yeah, so along the same lines of might, using words like maybe, we may be able to help you do this. We might be able to help you do this. But a big one for me in terms of language is permission, right? Gotcha. So before I get into, if I start a conversation, I want to ask someone, not before I get into a conversation, but through the conversation, I want to be asking them permission to ask them certain questions. If they're challenging, I want to get their permission to actually open up. So that might look like, hey, let's say I noticed that someone has has mentioned they had a challenge, but they're mentioning that their actions, the things that they're doing to solve that challenge, are just not working. And we get to the end of the call, and for some reason, they're just like, I'm going to keep doing what what I'm already
Sure.
doing and just see if that works. Well, that's an incongruency, right? And we hear that all the time, right? I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. That's an incongruency in their mindset because they've just told you that their thing doesn't work. What they're doing hasn't worked. Why would they keep doing it? So it's out of integrity for me to not call that forward. So I might say, hey, I'm noticing an incongruency in something you said to me earlier in the conversation and something you're saying now. Can we have a conversation with that about that? Can I explore that with you to see what might be coming up? Because I think there's a growth opportunity for you. If not, that's totally cool, but would love to explore that if you're open to it. Every single time they'll say yes. But if I just went into that and I just pointed out that incongruency, they likely would have gotten defensive. And they likely would have felt the need to justify why they had that incongruency. Oh, well, I know I said that, but what I really meant was this, right? And you start getting into this combative battle. And we want to avoid that at all costs. We don't want to feel like it's me versus you. I want to feel like I'm on the same side as you. And the only way I can do that is by checking in with you, asking for permission, inviting instead of assuming, and overall just navigating a conversational dialogue versus pushing my opinion on someone.
So in looking at having that conversation with somebody, trying to be more helpful than salesy, giving them basically an out by telling them maybe, we're going to see, and just trying to point out where their issues are, if you can or can't help them. How do you, let's say you're coming at it from my end and I'm the sales person. Most of the people I work with do not consider themselves to be salespeople, although that's half of their job, whether it's an entrepreneur, an advisor, a coach, an agent, whatever. How do you work with people to help them fix their mindset, change their mindset to be, and I won't even say sales oriented, but to be in a position where they can bust all of these different, let's call them myths. They got all these myths built in. How do I bust all these myths, or what do I start? What's like the first one I need to start working on to undo, the bad sales training I've gotten before that has gotten me totally rejected?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. And there's quite a bit of those nuances and beliefs that people are holding, especially today, that are really costing them a lot of money and stopping them from being able to enroll the clients they want to. One of the main things, one of the main myths is that sales is a numbers game. And you'll hear everybody talk about that. You'll even hear some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the planet talk about how sales is a numbers game. And I won't argue.
I may or may not have said that myself.
Right. And actually I have too. And I don't want to argue with that there's some truth to it. There is. The truth is if you naturally the law of numbers say if you have more conversations with people, you will make more sales eventually. But at what cost? Right. And that's the question we want to ask. At what cost? Because let's say you have 10 conversations and you enroll one, and every single conversation you're focusing on just pushing them, doing whatever you can to get them to buy. How many relationships did you burn along the way? Right? To get that one, did you burn 9 relationships? And so I believe in quality over quantity. If I can have a real, genuine, deep connection with someone, and if I can truly provide them value, truly support them, whether they buy now or later, they're going to look at that conversation as an impactful point in their life. They're going to look at that conversation as something that brought value into their life experience, into their business, and something that was positive for them versus something that was negative, right? I talked to so many people who say, man, I talked to this guy and I just felt like shit afterwards, or he tried to make me buy something I didn't want to do, or I ended up resenting this person because I ended up paying for something that I really didn't want to. And, that happens all the time. And so, in your numbers game, how many people are you actually burning? Right. And so we invite our teams and our clients to focus on quality, because if you can have one extremely good conversation, even if that doesn't lead to a sale, that person's going to trust you for the future. And so if someone comes into their life and they say, hey, I need help with X thing that you can help them with, what do you think they're going to do? Well, if they had a great conversation with you, if they know you provided them value, if they know it felt like you weren't trying to push your agenda onto them, they're going to refer you to that person. And we've had that happen all the time, where people that don't buy refer us to their friends and the people that they know, because they trust that the conversation that their friends will have will actually be valuable. So that's one of them, that sales is a numbers game, and it's something that's preached all the time. And I believe it's much more of a quality game than it is a numbers game. Yeah.
So in that case, you're more focused on the quality conversation, the quality prospect, and then maybe increasing the closure rate. So if I'm closing 2 out of 10, I don't want to go to 20 to get 4 total. I want to keep my 10, make it a quality 10, and then increase the closure rate to 4.
Yeah, 100%. And you said something powerful where, quality in the conversation, but also quality in the right person. And, you have a lot of coaches and experts and entrepreneurs in the world who are just trying to pitch to everyone, even if they're not the right fit. And the unfortunate part about that is you're going to get no's and you won't even know why. But really, it's because there's no product market fit. You're trying to sell a product to someone that's not actually your market. And so, of course, it's not going to work. And so, we have qualification processes that we have in advance to make sure that we're only talking to the right people and none of the wrong ones. That way, our closing rate, we know if we have the right person coming in and we're focusing on a quality conversation, we're going to have a 40, 50, 60, 70% close rate. And we see this across our teams. Due to focusing on quality versus quantity.
So in looking at the quality of the conversations you're going to have, there's a dozen ways to do it, but what are some of the ways you guys handle bringing on the right sales call? Obviously, you're not just throwing out your link and saying, sign up here to any and everybody with a pulse. What are you using to qualify them?
Yeah. So we always recommend putting an application in the front end to make sure that you're having people answer questions that tell you whether or not this person is actually a good fit for what you're offering. Now, before that, it's key to understand who that person is. And so we always have people create, their own blue ocean opportunity first, right? And so it's like, what is your offer? And what is your niche within the offer that you're selling? Let's say you're selling business coaching. Well, who are you selling business coaching to? What stage of people are you selling business coaching to? But then we want to go a step deeper. Out of those people that you're selling business coaching to, let's say you're selling business coaching to, I don't know, let's say musicians maybe that's a bad example. Let's say yoga studios, for example. You're trying to sell business marketing coaching to yoga studios. That's a relatively niched market.
That's right.
But I would want to go a little bit deeper than that. I want to say, okay, cool. You're selling business coaching to yoga studios. What makes you different than everybody else? What's your edge? Right? Why would people come to you versus anyone else? We sell sales coaching to coaches and experts for now. We're going to expand beyond that, but beyond just selling sales coaching to coaches, there's a lot of people who do that. We sell ethical sales coaching, conscious sales coaching, coaches and experts. And so that's a way that we stand out a little bit more and attract only the people that are actually focused on making a genuine impact in the world, that genuinely care about people, and that want to find an approach that aligns and empowers with their being. And so, we want to help people first find what is that blue ocean opportunity for you? Who's the niche within the niche and what makes you different? And then let's make sure we attract the people that resonate with that by creating an application process that speaks to those people and disqualifies everybody else.
That's a lot of good info to take in all there at one time. So when I'm doing this, I need to have something as simple as a type form or Google form and ask them very specific questions and tell them why I'm asking these types of questions.
Yeah, you got it.
So in looking at that, the second thing that I see a lot of people struggle with, myself included, is that we love to do our little marketing bits here and there, but then it comes to sales and we have this built-in mindset that it's awkward, sleazy, painful. How should I be looking at that differently, or what should I do?
Yeah. The first thing I'd say is why are you, first thing I'd ask is, why are you doing what you're doing? Right? Every person we train, every person we work with, we ask them that question because when someone's getting in that feeling of it's sleazy, it's weird, it's awkward, coming back to the why is the easiest way to shift that first. So what's the why? What's the mission? What's the purpose behind what you're doing? And then recognize that there's people in the world right now that need what you have, that need something that you're offering to get the results they want. They're asking for it. They're praying for it. They're praying for support. They're praying for someone to come in and help them. And it's only natural. Right? If you've heard of and I don't know if your viewers have, but we follow The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell a lot.
Yes, love it.
And the amazing concept. And it depicts the mythological story that we see in so many movies. But beyond movies, it's a story that's happening in our lives. All of us are going on our own hero's journey. Some people are choosing to say yes to it. Other people are not. A part of this hero's journey is finding the mentor to help you along your journey to get the results you want. Right? If you're a coach and an expert, you are that mentor. You're there to guide this person, and this person is literally praying to God to find someone like you. So if you come about it with that angle and recognize that you're showing up here in service, every conversation you have is an opportunity to impact someone's life and provide them value, whether they move forward or not, then most of the time what we found is entrepreneurs, coaches, experts who genuinely want to help people, when they come from that place of service, sales feels easy. Right? When they come from that place of service, sales feel easy. And most of the time, the reason it feels awkward, the reason it feels weird is because they're pushing up against their own internal congruent system. And what I mean by that is they have a big heart, part of them that says, hey, I really care about people I want to serve. But then they feel unconsciously or consciously that sales is not that.
Right.
That sales means I'm going to have to convince someone to do what they don't want to do. And that's just not the case, right? And so when people could come back to service, which is very natural for people who genuinely want to transform the lives of others, then it becomes a lot easier to approach the sales process from a place of, oh, every conversation I have is actually an opportunity to serve. Let me book as many of these as possible. If I'm just serving, I can do that all day. Give me 7 calls today. Give me 8 calls today. Like, I will show up and I will serve because that's what I'm here to do.
That hero's journey, that's often in the explainer video business is what I have to tell folks. You know, if I'm creating a video for a financial advisor, that the hero's journey concept, if you use Star Wars as the example, is that Luke Skywalker's got this problem. He needs to become a Jedi. He's got to go defeat the Death Star. But we're the helpful guides. We're not Luke. Luke is the person who has the problem. Or as you say, they're praying for a solution. They're praying for training a Jedi. So we're either Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda. Pick your poison of, New Hope or Empire Strikes Back, and then I forget all the rest of them. Went back and watched the original 3 with my son, and I say original 3 like the prequel 3 does not hold up. Anywho, but that's right. We're Yoda, we're Obi-Wan, and we're training them. And there's nothing, the way you're stating it, there's nothing to be worried about or afraid of, or they're not rejecting this help. They're not turning away from it. And if they are, maybe there's a better fit, or maybe there's another reason. You're looking at it from strictly the standpoint, I'm here to help. And if, that turns into a transaction, great. And if not, I've helped them the best I could.
You got it, man. And, I want to mention something important, because a lot of the time what happens when I speak about this is sometimes, I wouldn't say a lot of times, but sometimes what it could lead to is what I call the helper syndrome. And the helper syndrome it's funny because I'm talking about wanting to serve and wanting to help. The helper syndrome is kind of going to the other extreme. So if you look at one extreme of, I'm the Grant Cardone, I will close you at any freaking cost, no matter what. I'm going to get your credit card on this call, right? One extreme. The other side of the extreme, let's look at the freaking yogi, the one who just wants to show up and help and serve. And, they don't even have the courage to ask for the sale. They're just like, cool, I'm glad I served you. I helped you. Have a great day.
Right.
We don't want either of those. We don't want the extreme Grant Cardone, and we don't want the extreme, yogi, because, if you fly to the other direction, you're still not going to make money, because if you're unwilling to challenge someone. And, I want to make it clear that conscious sales doesn't mean you're not confrontational, right? It doesn't mean you're not willing to call someone out, right? The process of conscious sales is just doing that in an eloquent way, in a way that doesn't have someone get defensive, which is always what typically leads to people losing the sale, is saying something that leads to this person becoming defensive. And so, an example of how to do this eloquently, an example of how to go about this is, when someone shares, let's say you notice that incongruency, we always follow what we call our ACT process. So it's acknowledge, clarify, and transmute. If someone shares a challenge, something they're going through, an objection that's going to stop them from moving forward, I want to acknowledge that objection as something that's real. Mm-hmm. I want to clarify what that objection is, and I want to help them transmute the objection. Helping them transmute the objection might be calling them forward and helping them see that they're thinking in incongruencies, that the way that they're thinking is actually not going to get to the result they want. Remember that you're there to help them, which means you can see what they can't. And that's really important, is as the guide, as the teacher, as the mentor, if you get on a sales call, your job has already started. It doesn't start when they've invested in working with you. It starts now. And so if you're seeing blocks, if you're seeing things that the person you're talking to is doing that's going to stop them from getting the life they want, and they don't see it for themselves, it's your responsibility to call them forward and recognize it. But you can do it through permission and invitations.
How do you transmute them when let's say their objection is just price? Because that's what a lot of people like to say, or they don't say price. They always say, well, let me see if we have it in the budget, or let me weigh my other options.
Yeah.
How do you act through that one?
Yeah. I love the way how do you act through that one?
Yeah.
So whatever I was first say is I'd say, I totally get that. This is not a cheap program. If you're selling a high ticket program, I want to let them know, hey, it's not, like, it's an investment. And so I get that you need to see if it's in your budget. Can I clarify something? And they'll always say yes. And I'll say, can I understand what your budget is? Can we explore that a little bit more? When you say it's not in your budget, or you need to explore it's in your budget, what do you actually mean by that? And if I notice some resistance, I'll be upfront with them and I'll be like, look, like, we're both professionals here. Like, I want to help you get the result that you want. In order for me to help you get the result that you want, I need to understand your situation. If I don't understand your situation, I'm going to be blinded, and I won't be able to give you the advice and feedback that you actually want to get there. Does that make sense? And they always say yes. And typically, if I'm upfront about that with them, they'll let their guard down and be like, okay, cool. Well, this is my budget. Here's where I'm at. And once I've had someone opening up to their financial situation, then I can ask them more clarifying questions. And I can dive deep to what's really happening. What I might uncover is it's actually not about budget. What I might uncover is it's something deeper than that. And by asking further questions, they're going to then open up, around something. Maybe they've got burned in the past. Maybe for some reason they still don't trust the process. Maybe they don't trust themselves, right? And if they don't trust themselves,
which is probably the biggest issue.
100%. They don't trust in their own ability. And so then I could coach them and give them some support to help them gain the confidence to be able to move forward, because I've seen other people just like them make it happen. And so I can come from that place of confidence.
And I've seen you, when you talked about training previously, in getting to that point, is that when I'm trying to make them see this or help them get comfortable or get them to, to still build that know, like, and trust factor with me, because that's what's the sticking point, is that they still might not, feel 100% comfortable with me or themselves. You talk quite a bit about how the energy you're bringing and the state of mind you have when you're on the sales call is magically transported to them.
Yeah.
So in thinking about that, what are some of the issues that people are going to have when I'm hopping on a sales call and I'm not quite feeling up to it?
Yeah. Well, man, it's normal. First of all, we're human. And so sometimes you're just not going to be feeling that great. And sometimes you're not going to want to hop on that call. And sometimes you're not going to be feeling energetically ready. And so what we always train our teams on is create a pre-call practice for yourself. What do you do to get energetically aligned, energetically ready, right? It could be blasting some music. It could be dancing. It could be singing. It could be meditating, whatever it is for you. It could be breath work, right? It's really important to get your state checked, because energy transmutes, and energy, people can feel it, right? Whether they're on the other side of the world or directly in front of you, like, you cannot argue that as energetic beings, you can feel what someone else is feeling on the other side of the call. And so that's what we tell our teams and our clients first is what's your pre-call practice? What can you do to get energetically ready, energetically aligned, so that you can show up in confidence? Because the last thing you want is for your own victimhood, for your own scarcity, for your own limiting thoughts to start coming up while you're on a call and stopping you from being able to show up in service. I want to be out of myself and focusing on the other person as much as possible. Because if I'm stuck in my own beliefs, I'm not going to be able to help them, because I'm going to be worried about myself.
So let's take a quick transition here, since we're talking about, this is a do more by doing less podcast. You're managing to travel around the world and, be a person that does more by doing less, especially with your sales. So what is something right now, David, that you should probably be doing less of?
Me personally in my life?
Yeah, you.
That's a great question, man. What is something that I should be doing less of? We're in the process right now of as we build this conscious sales brand. It's something I'm really excited about. It's something I've always known I was going to create, but my zone is really in these conversations, is in speaking, is in coaching, is in teaching. That's where I love. That's where I thrive. That's where I want to spend all my time. I'm still spending a bit more time running the day-to-day operations of my company beyond the peak in the agency. Thankfully, I have a ton of support, but we're in the process of really bringing in a internal sales manager into the company to really help me get deleveraged. And so I could be doing less of that, of sales management inside of my company, so I can have the freedom and time to spend all my time focusing on my zone of genius and what I'm really here to do.
Well, that's the follow-up. What would that be giving you a chance to do more of? And you just told us to do more of this.
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me, man, how can somebody find you, David?
Yeah, man. So, David Pare on all social media. So Facebook, you can find me there. Instagram, you can find me there. If you're interested in conscious sales, you want to explore that, pretty simple, www.conscioussales.com.
Well, there you have it, folks. Sales does not have to be awkward or sleazy. You're helping folks while still making sure you ask for a sale at the end. Pre-qualify them. It's not about a numbers game. And if you're helpful and you're genuine, you might make a few sales without feeling like a salesperson.
100%.
Done. Boom. All right, man. Hey, you have a lovely day halfway across the world, and we will chat soon.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Wait. Don't run off just yet. Do me a big favor. Hit the little plus sign to subscribe. Scroll down wherever you are and leave a very honest 5-star review and tell other people why they should be listening. And if you don't, an angel may in fact lose its wings. True story. Have a great day.